Hi, Internet. Welcome to the Troyan YouTube channel. It is Thin Lizzy Thursday, and this episode of Thin Lizzy Thursday is brought to you by Radiant Epic. What is Radiant Epic? Well, it's the next project that I'm working on. I am still going to be doing Thin Lizzy Thursdays every week, but as you might have known if you've watched a lot of my videos, I've done music for the past decade, but my true passion is in writing. Wrote a screenplay last year, working on another screenplay, but my true heart and passion and soul resides in prose in novel writing. And so Radiant Epic is going to be a free weekly novel. So new episodes, new chapters rather, are going to be coming out every week. And the launch is September 1st. So stick around for that. More details. But I know you're not here for weird science fiction, fantasy, time travel, epics, coming of age stories. No, you're here for Thin Lizzy. Uh, Man, if we get the War of the Worlds track today, that'd be amazing. But yeah, it's Thin Lizzy Thursday. So the way this works is that I don't choose the song that we react to. I let the random number generator choose. And so I've got that bad boy fired up. We're going to see what we're going to get. All right, let's see what song we're getting this week. And I'm rooting for something off Shades of a Blue Orphanage. Let's just go through that entire album, because why not? Haha! So, for many, many months now, I have said, man, I could sure go for something off Chinatown. We have not gotten anything off Chinatown. We did Don't Play Around, which is like a B-side from the same era, but not off the album proper. And I said we were getting a bunch of stuff from Shades of a Blue Orphanage, so I decided I'm going to trick the random number generator. I'm going to say this week I want something off Shades of a Blue Orphanage, but secretly I wanted something off Chinatown. Ha ha! I tricked you, computer. That's right, we are doing Sweetheart off Chinatown. This is not rigged. If this was rigged, I would have done this a long time ago. This is a deep cut. This one actually is a little bit messy in some ways, which we'll get into, but I think it's sweet. Sweetheart. No pun intended. No, I think this is a really cool song. There's a lot to dig into with it. So this is generally one of the more controversial Lizzy albums. This is where a lot of people feel like they started to lose their mojo. This and the follow-up Renegade, which are the two albums with Snowy White, are generally looked as, if not frowned upon, as looked as lesser in the fan base. Um, but yeah, I think it's cool. I'm excited. Oh yeah. Yeah. Spoilers. I love this song. So yeah, let's get into "Sweetheart" by Thin Lizzy and see if I get an ad before I put the song. Nope. All right. I was talking over the intro because I expected an ad. Let's rewind and play. Yeah, man, what a killer intro. I thought there was a part of me that thought I might be cursed this week because I dared to promote some of my other passions and interests other than Thin Lizzy on the sacred and holy Thin Lizzy Thursday. But the gods of self-promotion were kind to me and rewarded me with a great song that probably truthfully won't get too many views because this is a deep cut. But that intro just I love the guitar tone of the Snowy White era. I think the guitars sound really really great. It's a great continuation from Black Rose. Like it seems like a very a sensible sonic evolution. I believe this album is the first to have Darren Warden, the keyboard player. He's not credited as a full member, but he, I think his presence is going to be felt on this track if I remember correctly. Um, and just that it has a great classic, Lizzy intro, harmony guitars and just the thunderous, Brian Downey fill line at rhythm section. It's off to a great start. Rewind just we'll listen to the intro again so we can get that full transition.
If I was to stand in a general election, would you tell me about your close inspection? And how I never stood for detection? Or would you take another man? If I told you I had the solution to starvation, all the nations could be their own salvation. And those that lead us not into temptation, or they pick another man. Sweetheart, it's effective. Sweetheart, it's so effective. Sweetheart, do you detect it? Sweetheart, sacred sweetheart.
All right, so a lot going on there. So rhythmically, the the vocals and the of the verse lyric feels like it's a little bit off. It almost feels like maybe feels rushing or pardon me there. Yeah, it almost feels like he's rushing or just like not quite in time where it needs to be, or like it's trying to cram too much in. Just like the rhythm feels a little bit off, and it's hard to put my finger on what it necessarily is. Um, I don't think we get to that issue. I think it actually gradually improves. Maybe like you get used to it, but I always have that feeling like when I listen to the beginning of the song that it feels slightly off. But then I don't have that issue as much for the rest of them. So maybe it's like the first line or so. Um, Definitely not an issue in the chorus. The chorus is great. You got like the layered vocals, and then Phil doing the back and forth, which is really great. And there's a lot of passion in the vocal during the chorus. I do like the usage of the keyboard as like the coda to the chorus, because you get a melody line that has that familiar like Thin Lizzy harmonic phrasing that you're used to hearing, that you usually would hear it done with two harmony guitars, but hearing that done by a keyboard, it's still familiar because it still has that classic Thin Lizzy style of writing in terms of that melodic riff. But to hear it done with a synthesizer gives the song a new flair where it feels like Lizzy, but it also gives it a new dynamic and also sort of adds to it really adds to the atmosphere of the piece. And so when you hear something sweetheart, when you hear the line sweetheart and then you hear that keyboard line, it almost gives it a sense of like a less threatening nature. It makes it almost more inviting, but that kind of it really adds to the piece in a way that I'm having trouble articulating, but I think it's great. Um, Looking at these lyrics, if I was to stand in the general election, would you tell me about your close inspection and how I never stood for detection, or would you take another man? If I told you I had the solution to starvation, all the nations would be their own salvation, and those that lead us not into temptation, or they pick another man. So lyrically, there's a lot of religious symbolism, especially as we get into the next verse. Um, and so one way that I've kind of interpreted the song, there's a lot of interpretations you could take, but if you're looking at this like from a political angle, is would you necessarily pick the best candidate? Would this person survive under scrutiny? And and then you wonder, like, is this person making promises that are too big for them to keep? If I told you I had the solution to starvation, all the nations would be their own salvation. But also one definitely possible interpretation of this is that this is the sung from the perspective of Jesus, much in the way that Prince had "I Would Die for You," which was sung from the POV of Jesus. This could be um, Jesus singing to the masses, and but then would Jesus survive under scrutiny? In the modern political lens, there's a lot of stuff that Jesus advocated for, which would make him very unpopular politically today, especially his opinion on wealth. I mean, Jesus was very much the line about the rich man having the difficulty of getting into heaven. I don't remember it offhand, but it's like it's easier for a rich man to pass through the eye of a needle than to enter into heaven. And just Jesus was all about just helping the poor and the downtrodden, and that sort of in American politics, actually controversial today if you just like want to help the poor and stuff outside of private enterprise. It's very controversial, and so would Jesus stand up under modern political scrutiny? Definitely not in the U.S. Um, and so but yeah, let's get on to the next little section of the song.
If I told you about my plan, would you believe me? This is my body, my blood. Would you receive me? Or would you be the first to deceive me? Take another man.
If I told you about my plan, would you believe me? This is my body, my blood. Would you receive me? Or would you be the first to deceive me and take another man? Um, so, there's this is the lyrics are like vague enough where you're not necessarily 100% sure what the narrative is, but there's enough to dive into where you can like really sink your teeth in and have a lot of fun analyzing these lyrics, because you can look at it as like a literal Christ interpretation, or it can be even like a relationship, um, you know, uh, allegory, in the sense of like a relationship, in the way that you're choosing a partner is like choosing like your preferred political candidate. You're choosing someone whose beliefs align with yours, but you're also choosing, in some ways, there's the romantic ideal of the partner that saves you, that is your salvation, that completes you. And there's obviously the debate of like whether or not you should allow a person to uh, be your savior or salvation, or should you save yourself and not let yourself become reliant upon a relationship. That's a whole other discussion. But the idea that someone can be that relationship savior is another layer to this. So you can interpret this about a politician who uh, is maybe perhaps who is perhaps comparing themselves to Christ in a way that they probably don't deserve to. It could be Christ himself, or it could be a relationship, and especially with sweetheart being the chorus hook. Um, so a lot here, and that's only just one little stanza in the second verse. So rewinding just to here, we'll get back to it.
Take another man. If I told you that I'm not the man to worry, would you believe me when I said I was really sorry? Or would you rush off in a hurry to take another man?
If I told you that I'm not the man to worry, would you believe me when I said I was really sorry, or would you rush off in a hurry to take another man? Great lyrics, and this really sells the relationship aspect of the song.
To take another man, sweetheart, disconnect from me. You got no respect sweetheart. For me. It's affected sweetheart. Not sacred, sweetheart.
And a lot of pauses, but I'm really loving dissecting these lyrics. Sweetheart, disconnect from me. Sweetheart, you've got no respect for me. And I love the way that Phil sings the vocal there. Sweetheart, it's affecting me. Sweetheart, my sacred sweetheart. Choosing the line sacred when you have all the Christ imagery. Really genius here. Could this, you know, be someone seeking salvation through Christ, and then maybe feeling rejected from God, feeling disconnected? There's so many ways you can interpret these lyrics. Um, but like I said, the, in general, I like lyrics to be a bit more direct, but there's enough here to sink your teeth into where I don't mind it being a little bit more abstract, because it still gives you it's almost like a choose your own adventure book where you have all these different paths you can go down with it, and the paths are like somewhat are like defined enough where it's not so abstract where like you can't derive much meaning of anything from it. Like there's some like really out there spacey prog stuff where it's just like it means whatever you want it to mean, man. I need a little bit more than that. This means like maybe one of like five or six things. And then whichever of those five or six things you think is the best is the way you can interpret it, or you can interpret it all those ways simultaneously. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely digging this. Rewind just a hair.
The sacred sweetheart. And when you're troubled and when you're ill, you know I'll help, I always will. And when you're troubled and really down, you know I'll always be around. And when you're troubled and really broke, there's hope, there's hope, there's hope.
And before we get into the solo, want to analyze that section there. So that was a great return to the intro music as a bridge. So very excellent there. And lyrically, and when you're troubled and when you're ill, you know I'll help. I always will. And when you're troubled and really down, you know I'll always be around. And when you're troubled and really broke, there's hope. There's hope. There's hope. So this could be once again the Christ Savior imagery is here, but also this could be friendship. There's like a lot of ways you can really interpret this. So yeah, I'm like as said previously, I am a fan of this piece.
There's hope, there's hope, there's hope.
Yeah, great instrumental section. Loved the solos. It was freaking great. I mean, yeah, I dug it. I think the Snowy White era has lots of great guitar playing. I know a lot of people rag on him. I don't have an issue with that. I think that was cool. And yeah, let's let it play out. We're at the end of the song.
It's affecting me. You got no respect for me. It's so effective. My sacred sweetheart. Disconnect. It's so effective. It's affecting
The lost art of vamping on the fade. Just beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. Not as common nowadays, ending on the fade out. Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with modern musicians. They're not really playing in the same room together. They're all recording their stuff separately, so they're not like you're not necessarily jamming together, vamping on that fade. Obviously, usually vocals and stuff are tracked not the same time as instruments, but um, it's it's still I miss those great classic rock fade outs. Yeah, I dug it. I thought this was cool. Yeah, this was a nice, very pleasant surprise. That's the nice thing about the random number generator, not knowing what you're gonna get. It just makes it adds a layer of fun for me. I hope it adds a layer of fun for you at home. Uh, Me acting like I'm not at home, but I'm not at your home. But you know, me like not knowing like I'm gonna listen to Sweetheart today and dissect it and just like dive deep. Like that was a really fun, unexpected surprise. I mean I love Chinatown. I think it's a great album. I know a lot of people lag on it, and it's not that this piece um is without criticism. Uh, the lyrics are maybe a bit more abstract than Phil normally does. Some people might think these lyrics are rushed. I don't agree. But I do find like the timing at the beginning feels a little bit off to me. So maybe it could have been tightened up in the studio. Maybe it needed to be slightly rewritten so that it would flow together better. Um, but as it stands, I am definitely a fan of this piece, and whatever minor criticisms I have of it do not prevent me from fully enjoying it. And so now it's time to get into the ranking of where do we put Sweetheart. Okay, so well, all right, let's get controversial, boys and girls. Where do I put Sweetheart? Oh man. So I'm discovering how much I like this song in comparison to other Thin Lizzy songs. So, okay. So I'm looking at S rank for Sweetheart. That is where I'm looking. Um, man, Speed King being up there is so dumb, but that's because I'm ranking it on the songwriting and not based upon the performance. And yeah, it's a weird convoluted ranking. That is way too high for that like Deep Purple cover, but whatever. Um, okay, I like it better than Still in Love with You, so it's definitely above that. But the trick is, I'm looking at some of the other stuff and like, man, did I really put Randolph's Tango above Are You Ready? Is that correct? Um, and so I'm like, I'm entirely reevaluating my S rank, but I know for a fact, Sweetheart is at least here. Controversial, I know. Chinatown, I like it. I like it. This is my personal ranking. It's how I feel. If you disagree, I mean, everyone disagrees. We've got different opinions, people. But am I happy with this? Am I happy with Sweetheart, sandwiched between Are You Ready and Still in Love with You? Do I need to move anything around? How am I feeling today? Um, because I'm thinking, like, do I like it better than Randolph's Tango? And, like, I do. I think I do like it better than Randolph's Tango. But then I like it's sort of weird. It's like okay, so like sushi is my favorite food, but sometimes you're in the mood for a burger, and then sometimes and okay, so here's what it is. Um like Sweetheart is better than Randolph's Tango, but maybe not better than Are You Ready in a weird way. Like when I'm doing a side by side comparison, I don't know. It's weird. It's like it's based upon the mood. Like somehow like it's like rock paper scissors. Sweetheart is scissors. Are You Ready is rock, and Randolph's Tango is paper. And just like the different combinations beat each other, but trying to just do like a best of the best of the best, sir. Where am I putting this? I'm so conflicted, and you're just looking at a screen. So I'll go back to showing my conflicted face as I think about it as to where I'm putting things. Ah, this is tough. All right, so what I'm gonna do? All right. I've decided what I'm doing, and this is just going to upset everybody. But here's what's going to be done, sweetheart. You're going to move up above Randolph's Tango, and Randolph's Tango. You are also going to be bumped down from Are You Ready? This is how I'm feeling today. Randolph's Tango, but I love you so. Am I just forgetting how great you are because I didn't listen to you like just 30 seconds ago? You know what? Yeah, this is where I'm leaving it. Sweetheart, S rank. No one's gonna agree with me. This is, generally considered like weaker Lizzy, not as good. Um, I don't know what to tell you. I like it. This is my personal opinion, my channel. This is what I do. Upset you with my opinions on Sweetheart. Oh, man, I'm so glad we got a track off Chinatown. Um, so yeah. All right. Next week, I'm hoping for that weird War of the Worlds track Fingers crossed that we get it. If we do get it, I'm sure there will be shouts of shenanigans. But yeah, so that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Somehow I was able to talk about Sweetheart by Thin Lizzy for over 20 minutes, which I'm sure shocks the Chinatown haters, but here we are. Thank you guys for watching. Please do the liking, commenting, subscribing. Um, Please check out Radiant Epic when it comes out. And if you don't like it, recommend it to your nerdy friends who like to read books. That is the episode. Bye, everyone. See you next week.